FHS Season Tickets.
Welcome into another episode of FHS Season Tickets. I'm Miles.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Michael. And today we're going to be talking about Week 1 college football. We're going to start off the biggest game of the weekend, number 1 Alabama versus number 3 Florida State. Nick, do you want to start us off? Tell us what happened and your initial thoughts.
Yeah, well, that was a weird kind of like throwback SEC type game, in my opinion. You know, a perfect game for what Alabama wanted. Florida State only, what was the final score?
24-7.
Yeah, 24-7.
Should have been closer.
Points, or their defense just showing out. I think it was like 5 straight possessions that Alabama was on Florida State's territory and didn't score. And the defense for Florida State carried them really. In Alabama, like their scores came pretty staggered out, so it didn't seem like Alabama was dominating. But you just knew that there was no way that Florida State was going to score in Alabama anytime soon, so there was no way they were going to be able to catch up. And when DeAndre Francois went out with that injury, season ending, it was pretty much over.
Yeah, I totally agree. Probably should have been a little bit closer considering how well Florida State's defense did play.
Yeah.
And then you also have to consider the fact that Florida State had a block punt and 3 turnovers, 2 of them interceptions from Francois. So the defense was really put in some bad situations and still only gave up 24 points to Alabama. So I think that this being the strength of the team could maybe not make them fall off as much people think. Miles, with Francois being out for the year, what do you think is like the future expectations for the Seminoles? They obviously had national title hopes at the start of the year, and after this loss and their quarterback being done for the year, how do you really change those expectations mid-season?
Yeah, well, they were definitely expected to be a top contender this year, and I think that's going to hurt them. And, they put up a good fight against the Crimson Tide, but, their defense is what's going to have to hold them up if they want to score at all this year and keep moving forward.
This game also shows how surprisingly Alabama has never had a dominant offense with how well they've recruited, and they get tons of players like Jalen Hurst, and they have Bo Scarborough in the back, and just so much talent all around the field. Calvin Ridley, but for some reason their offense is just never clicks, never moves. Maybe Lane Kiffin was the best that offense has ever been, but it's really weird how that works because their defense are just so dominant. You mentioned the block punts and 2 interceptions like that. That's wild. The fact that they could not score off those possessions, or in succession. So it's just another way to look at this Alabama team. It's gonna be hard to rate these teams until they play other competition, because they look like elite talent, but we got to see how they do against other different types of teams, because I think this team is molded pretty much in the same way.
Yeah, I would agree that the Lane Kiffin Alabama teams would be the Alabama teams with the best offense. I think that he really helped make that Alabama offense really pretty solid last year. They weren't one of the best offenses in the country, but they were one of the better ones. And then him being gone for the college football playoff, I think obviously had a big impact on why Alabama struggled. Obviously, they played a lot better defenses in the college football playoff, but nonetheless, their offense played way worse. Now we're going to hop into the other ranked versus ranked matchup. Miles, tell me what happened to your Florida Gators.
Well, I got to be honest with you, our offense did not know how to execute. But, I was proud to see our defense get a few pick sixes. It was fun to watch. But, Michigan has a good defense. It proved it. And, their offense, besides their problems with their quarterbacks at first, having Alcorn come in and all that, they really did decide to come up the field regardless of Florida's defense, and they took the dub on that. They earned it. So I have nothing to say, really.
Yeah, the Michigan team really surprised a lot of people. I thought they would be good because they have so much talent on the team on defense, but Florida's main problem was just not getting any traction on offense, similar to just the classic Florida downfall. They could not get any traction on offense. 2 back-to-back pick sixes, and they couldn't score much after that. It's kind of crazy for the molds that each conference takes, but Michigan looking like a decently balanced team. I still think their quarterback issue is going to be what prevents them from winning or getting into the college football playoff, or even beating Ohio State for that matter. But they look like a pretty balanced team. I think the fears of a lot of people's fear with that team. It should be quieted a little bit. Then again, it is Florida. You can't really rate their defense too highly after that performance, but still a top 25 team for sure, and beating them pretty handily. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I knew Florida's offense was going to struggle. I didn't think it would struggle to the amount that it did struggle, only scoring 3 offensive points. But Michigan just was a lot better on offense than I think I really expected. Obviously, you had the 2 pick sixes, but after that, their offense started scoring semi-consistently on the Gators' defense, which I wasn't really expecting. I knew that was probably going to be a low-scoring slugfest game, but Michigan's offense really did open it up so they could get a pretty convincing victory. They outgained the Gators by like 200-something yards, so they definitely were the much better team. Florida's looking really bad. They might be in for a really down season. Obviously, the SEC East didn't look great, but South Carolina got a nice win. Georgia won by like 21 over Appalachian State, who a lot of people had Georgia on upset alert. We'll talk about their game against Notre Dame coming up in the next episode of FHS Season Tickets. And obviously, the SEC East isn't that strong, so maybe Florida can bounce back and take the SEC East title. You obviously have Tennessee, who looked awful in a 42-41 win over Georgia Tech. But what was the most exciting game of the weekend for you guys? I would say it was Texas A&M and UCLA. Do you guys want to get into that one?
Yeah, well, Texas A&M and UCLA would have been a thriller if I didn't turn it off whenever UCLA was up 34, or Texas A&M was for that matter. I thought they were just completely mollywopping UCLA.
They were.
I was trying to watch the chosen Rosen. I was trying to watch a good game out of him, but in the beginning, through the first 3 quarters, I was just not getting that. So, flipped the channel. I started watching some Netflix, get an update. Probably like an hour later, Mike tweeting like he always does on Season Tickets, talking about how the UCLA Texas A&M game was like a close game or whatever. I thought he was trolling. I turn on and I get 30 seconds into it, or whenever Texas A&M had the last possession, and I was just in shock. I want to see the highlights, but yeah, that was even just watching the highlights, that was quite an exciting game. What a fake spike by Josh Rosen.
Dan Marino-esque.
Yeah, that was. I don't know why more teams don't do that, to be honest. What do you think? Why most teams won't do?
I mean, the defender wasn't really caught off guard. Even it was more like the defensive line that I think had the big. But like the cornerback was still like in decent position. It was just a perfect throw by Rosen. But Josh Rosen, despite making that fantastic pass on 4th down, his touchdown when UCLA was down 20 points was not as impressive. Texas A&M should have easily intercepted the pass and just slipping right through the defender's fingertips. Like, Nick, I think you would have easily been able to make the play being 6'12".
I don't know. It was kind of like a fat 7 foot. I think it was kind of like a fast, maybe moving ball because it seemed like it didn't even slip, dude. It was just like boom, like it was just right through. But also one of the most exciting games that everyone's gonna think Texas A&M, UCLA, in my opinion, was West Virginia, Virginia Tech. That game was really crazy too.
Going on at the same time.
So like that was a pretty crazy game. Miles, do you think there was any other college football games that were fun to watch, or is there any other thing that you want to talk about for UCLA and everything?
I mean, those 2 are easily the most exciting.
Yeah.
West Virginia and Virginia Tech came down to the plug.
Exactly.
I mean, I was excited for my Vanderbilt Commodores getting that dub over Middle Tennessee State. And also, Nick is like 6'6" or 6'7", just letting you guys know. So I'm not that short, even though it does look like I'm pretty short on camera.
Yeah, when I go like, oh, what up, Mike?
Yeah,
I was also proud of my Kent State team, putting up a field goal against Clemson. Just kidding. I hate them. I wanted to say it.
Dude, Vanderbilt, trash. How's your boy Ralph Webb?
Ralph Webb, he had like 100-something rushing yards and then a 71-yard receiving touchdown. So I think that amazing stat line.
Is he going to top 5 SEC running back? Is he going to break it?
I think with that, we're going to wrap it up for this episode of FHS Season Tickets. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also root for Vandy against Alabama A&M this weekend.
Go Vandy.